Lovely. Hi, welcome everyone on Facebook Live and Power Extra Radio. How hot is this? We're sweltering here in the studio. Today I've got Master Mo with me, who's the founder of Power Extra Radio. Now, before I start speaking to Mo, we obviously want people to listen to the radio show. So Mo's just going to explain to everybody how they can download the app for free and listen live to us all the time. So hi Mo.
Hi there, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, first and foremost, they need to go to their Play Store or whichever phone they have, whether it's an iPhone or Samsung, okay? And then put in TuneIn app. There's two types of TuneIn apps, one that's a paid app and one that's free. So you need to go to the free one, which is green, bright green.
Yep.
And just download that. Once you've downloaded it, it's free, so it doesn't cost anything. Once you've downloaded it, then you go to search and just type in Power Extra and Power Extra, the station will come straight up.
Okay, lovely.
You can download, I mean, not just the Power Extra radio, but all radio stations will come up as well.
Okay, so all internet radios.
All internet radios
Right.
and loads of FMs as well. You can get loads of thousands of them.
Right, okay.
But so it's a generic tool.
But the one they want is for us, Power Extra
Radio.
.co.uk.
Okay, absolutely.
Lovely. So now we've got Master Mo on, and you've just seen him. I'm going to grill Master Mo about everything that he's done today, and more importantly for me is to get an understanding of how the Black community sees and deals with child sexual abuse and everything around that we can ask Mo about, his perspective on, and just get his opinions on lots of things. It's going to be a frank, honest, open, transparent conversation. And if any of you on Facebook Live or who are listening in on the TuneIn app on powerextraradio.co.uk, please send in your questions. And also we've got WhatsApp as well that you can send in your questions to the WhatsApp. So, right, we are going to now switch around to Master Mo and grill him. Grill you on a hot summer's day, Master Mo.
Why not?
So, first of all, who are you?
Well, I'm a father.
Yep.
And I've got a daughter that's 25.
Right.
I would say when people ask who are you, there's two methods, right? People talk about what they've achieved.
Yeah.
Or people talk about themselves, what they are in total themselves.
And I want both.
Well, in terms of achievement, the Master Mo came from, I teach martial arts.
Ah,
I've been in martial arts for over 50 years.
Yeah.
And I've been 7 times world champion.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And, 3 times European champion.
Yeah.
And, all over the globe, I've won titles everywhere. So that's where the master came from. So it's not just an empty name.
Ah.
I'm actually a martial arts master.
Wow.
Which I still teach as well.
Yeah.
Until today. So that's the sporty side.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of that, I've been a teacher, a social worker, housing officer.
Wow. How old are you, Mo? You don't have to answer that, but just to cram all of that in.
Yeah. So and plus worked in various radio stations as well. So I've always had that level of profile in terms of what I've done.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of community work as well.
Yeah.
In the community. Growing up, I belonged to, we were part of what was called the Tooting Youth Project. Right. It's no longer in existence, but that catered for and fostered a lot of young people from the Tooting and Balham area, Wandsworth area, who grew up with a very good mentor that we had there, who was, I would say, a community leader at that time. Because
Yeah.
that was quite strong, quite prevalent. People used to go there and go to him for advice. He was also a magistrate.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, that kind of helped his profile as well. So we grew up in that environment where we had place to go to grow and develop. And, you know, I then went on to manage that same place as I got older.
Right. Okay. Brilliant.
So that, in a nutshell, is sort of background to where I am. In terms of recent times, I've sort of, after working for several radio stations, I realized there's a big flaw, there's a big gap in what was needed within our community. And Power Extra is not my creation.
Okay.
There's I have to give the gentleman a big welcome,
Yeah,
a
sure.
big boost up. His name is Emeka. He actually invented Power Extra.
Okay.
They were based purely on Afrobeat music. That's what they were doing. And I actually went to him to set up the radio station I was going to set up was called T4C.
Right.
Time for Change.
Ah, fantastic name.
Yeah, T4C.
4C, yeah.
Time for Change. Yeah. And he said, why don't I just join his and come on board? And so I did. I came on board, and after coming on board, I decided to change the track that the station was going in, from just pure music to a talk show.
Yeah.
To lots of talk, because I thought that was more needed within our community. We needed our voices heard.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots of music stations about everywhere, and they all play music, and so I changed it around, and eventually bought him out. So I generally owned it, and it came just moved from strength to strength from that point onwards. So that's kind of that Power Extra's journey
came around
to date, because I still believe that the two mainstream radio stations don't cater for the public.
Okay.
They really don't. They don't tackle subjects that the public want tackled.
Right. Yeah.
They tackle political agenda subjects.
Yeah, but not grassroots solutions.
Not grassroots subjects. And I think we need a lot more grassroots topic so people can get engaged, people can understand, people can relate to.
Yeah.
And hence, you know, we had up to a point in the station, we had listening figures over 180,000 people listening per month to Power Extra Radio.
Yeah.
And growing. So, you know, the development of that was growing vastly. The entertainment that we were giving and education we were giving was very valuable to our community, to our public. There was a sort of Afro-Caribbean bias.
Yeah, sure.
Towards that, which I don't apologise for.
No, shouldn't have to apologise.
Well, I'm just letting people know,
Yeah.
because I think that there wasn't a voice for them in the media.
Yeah.
There wasn't a voice for them in the media, and so we gave them that voice, and we will continue giving that voice. But what I do realise is that there are certain topics, certain issues within the communities that cross genders, all colours and all creeds.
Yeah.
And so, hence why lots of more Europeans, or you know, English or whatever they want to call them, are all in the station, because they're dealing with topics that are close to heart.
Yeah, that cross all communities.
That crosses all communities. There are issues that cross all communities, and some communities choose to deal with it better than others.
Yes.
You know, so
or acknowledge them. Acknowledge them. Yeah.
Acknowledge them better than others. So that's where we are now. We're still it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
In terms of the topics that we want to deal with, topics that we want to cover, issues we want to cover, and also having this radio station gave me a platform to create an environment where people can become something a little bit more than what they really are.
Yeah.
They can fulfill their own goals, they can fulfill their own dreams, they can fulfill their own ambitions, and they can get their word out as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a serious side and there's a fun side.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing radio now for a very, very long time, and I always have a Wednesday afternoon show.
Yes. Community Matters with Master Mo, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's very serious and sometimes it's just fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, which I really love, which I really enjoy. And So we take that as a part of a level of intelligence. Because I was going to put something out on our post, and I thought about it, but I didn't. I haven't put it out. So I was going to put out Power Extra for the educated listener.
Right. Okay.
And I thought, no, I wouldn't put that down.
You might get a few people commenting on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to put over.
Yeah.
There's a niche within the communities of I wouldn't say middle class African Caribbeans, but wannabe middle class, behave like it, and they're looking for something that will fit their entertainment level, that will fit their understanding,
Right, okay.
intelligence level. So that's where Power Extra comes in. We tackle subjects head on,
Yeah.
professionally,
Yeah.
and that's what's
Yeah.
it's important.
Almost like a more of a discussion forum rather than you're right, you're right, you're wrong, because it's more of a debate, more of a discussion, so people can learn and have their opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a mantra on the station. You can have as much airtime as you want,
Yeah.
as long as you bring an intelligent conversation
Yeah.
in there.
Brilliant.
So that's important for the community to acknowledge. And we've had some challenging subjects to deal with, none more challenging than what you bring to the table.
Which we're going to have lots of conversations on in a little while.
Yes.
So, guys, you've heard how Master Mo has created this Power Extra radio station and the importance of giving the Black Afro-Caribbean a voice, a community a voice, and why Mo set it up. And what are your aims and objectives for the radio show or station in the long term?
I want to get it to a level that we're going to have 1 million listeners a month.
Wow.
And get it. I have a partner who I'm working with, who who's professionalizing it a lot more. Hence, a new website will be going up soon, and people will see the effects of that site and how we've looked to push that forward. We want to professionalize it a lot more. We want to bring in lots more presenters with vast and varied ideas and topics to talk about, bring the community a lot closer, have an engagement of discussion with the community, and have a solid foundation within the UK and worldwide.
Yeah, fantastic, Mo.
Right now, we go out to 72 odd countries around the world.
Right.
And we want to have a permanent presence in that.
Brilliant. Now, you were telling me earlier that the younger voice is going to get an airing. So just tell everybody a bit about that, because it's really important that we bring the younger generation up and give them their voice. Yes,
we're going to have a show called Age 14, where from 8 to 14-year-olds are going to be presenting their own show. They're going to create their own topic, generally do what the elder presenters do with a bit of guidance. So we won't interfere with their topics. We won't interfere with their discussions, but guide them through it. Show them how the equipment works, what they can do, help them to understand what about research, that the show's not done sitting just here.
No.
I
wish.
I wish, yes. So talk to them about research, understanding all that aspect. It's an empowerment tool for our younger generation coming up. So we want to have, right now we're looking for valuable presenters. But if we grew our own from quite young,
exactly,
and they grow into the Power Extra way of thinking and the Power Extra way, we will have a much more solid foundation. And the young don't have a voice. Yeah, they don't have a voice, and nobody hears their voices. Mm-hmm. So this is a platform they're going to go out to 72 countries worldwide. Yeah, they're going to go out to loads of people within the UK and Europe. So it's a massive opportunity for them to track their journey, track their understanding of life, and a way forward. And that's going to take place on Saturdays from 12 till 2. Right, okay. Every Saturday. Yeah.
And you've also got, I posted it on Facebook earlier, something that's happening soon. I've forgotten what the details of that are. Let me just check out
the Money
for
for Life?
Yes, because our young children think that money grows on trees. They've got no concept of where money comes from and budgeting and all of that kind of stuff.
So one of the things that the course covers, is an audit trail of money. Yeah. right? And when we see an audit trail of money, even the adults are looking at me because I've had a few adults and saying, why can't we do that course as well?
Oh, wow. Yeah, because a lot of people don't have that general knowledge.
Because I asked them in the last one we did, one of the questions I asked is, your parents get paid?
Yeah.
Which answer? Yeah, they get paid. So it's great. Where does the money come from that pays your parents?
Yeah.
And he goes, from the employer. I said, where do the employers get the money from to pay your parents?
Yeah.
So we took follow that money trail all the way to find out how it circulates around, how it goes around, where it comes from, where it ends up, what makes one currency more powerful than another currency, one country more powerful than another country, interest rates, what is it? What does APR mean?
Yeah.
What does a loan mean? What do you get from a credit card? Basic things. And then we talked about basic things that they generally overlook, which is, which I said, from the time your parents receive their wages, how many bills do you think they have to pay before they're left with what we call, liquid asset, liquid amount, and we went through and they didn't realize they paid over 19 bills in total before they had money left, and I said, now when you talk about money left, how much money do you think is left?
And what does it need to go on? You
need trainers, you want a brand new iPhone, you want a brand new this, brand new that,
school uniform.
How much money do you think a parent has? How much money do you think your parents earn? Which is one of the questions, and none of them really knew how much. They all overinflated how much they think their parents earn. Wow.
So it's a good education then, isn't it, for them?
It's a fantastic course for them to be able to come on from 15 to 25-year-olds to learn about money management. Not only that as well, how to get themselves set for life with money. How to start charting when you get pocket money, what you spend it on, what you save, how you receipt it, how you calculate it, how you account for it. So it's a good journey of financial assets for people to follow as they're going along.
And again, I also think that builds into self-esteem a little bit because, it's starting to trust the child, the child's getting educated about money and they don't take things for granted, so there's mutual respect going on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that came across a lot in the courses that we've done.
Yeah.
I've done about 3 already.
Right.
A lot of parents don't talk to their children.
Yeah.
About money management.
Yeah, or about anything.
They really don't talk to their children about money management. So the children are left in the dark. They're left to the devices of what the media tells them, not the reality of what it is. So they find it hard to understand or find it hard to accept that 25,000 is not a lot of money. Yeah. In comparison to what professions that the parents will do in terms of how much they will earn and what they need for that household. So, and parents don't talk to their children, and that's the great problem that we find. So the program, that program will highlight some of those things, hopefully, and bring some of the things out, and take everybody on that journey.
And again, that's all part of communicating with the next generation about opening their minds up to different things, and then even that little thing, talking about money, you might not think you can get much from it, but if you start building a bond with the younger generation, then you can start having the more complicated conversations with them that they wouldn't have entertained because they don't know you. So it's building trust and relationship with the younger generation about anything.
Yes, there's a quote that's I always work on. Greatness doesn't come on a big thing. Greatness comes on the little things that you do constantly.
Yeah.
So if we do all those little things constantly, those children will get empowered. They will, they'll make right decisions. Yeah. If they practice making small ones all the time. The big ones will come easy.
Yeah.
So that's the important facet of those courses and the shows as well.
Brilliant. So there you go, guys. You can see the width and the breadth of what Master Mo's trying to do with the Power Extra radio show, and it is reaching a lot of people, young and old in the community. So what we're going to do now, before we get into the crux of the child sexual abuse within different communities, we're just going to play you a tune. So those on Facebook, please go for a cup of tea and a wee if you wish. And I'm playing Reach Out, I'll Be There.
Shall I load? Did I load the track now?
Can I just click on it?
Yeah.
Bird song.
That's a really powerful song. I'll talk about it.
Welcome back, everybody. So that tune that Master Mo just played was called Daddy by Queen Ifrica.
Africa.
Pronounce
Queen
that again.
Africa.
Africa. Wow. Okay. Tell us the importance of that song then.
Well, she's from Jamaica,
Yeah.
and the issue that we're going to talk about
Yes.
is rife in the West Indies.
Okay.
And she did that tune in acknowledging
Child sexual abuse.
and
Okay.
trying to promote the issue.
Yeah.
And initially, I think off air we were talking about this is the bit that people don't hear.
Yeah.
We were talking about positive community leaders.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her that there's really none, but the importance of it that she's a mega figure in the music industry.
Right.
And that went right around the world.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
majorly important.
majorly important
Yeah.
for a person of that stature
Yeah.
to do such a tune, especially if people who know her records. She's a well-known reggae artist.
Yeah.
For her just come out with that
Yeah.
is something that's important to her.
Yeah. Do you, as I was going to say, do you think she's a survivor herself, or do you think that she might just know people and that's what close to her and that's why she wrote about it, said about it?
I'm going to try and get an interview with her.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I'm going to try and
Yeah.
get an interview with her. So we need to find out.
Yeah.
We need to find out whether or not she'll be open enough to talk about it
Yeah.
or not. But we do need to find out. I've been trying to get a hold of her for a few weeks now, but definitely we're trying for sure. I've got some contacts over there
Yeah.
who will get in contact with her on our behalf
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, it's a very, very powerful track.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's very, very poignant. It's very, very to the point. It's very, very direct.
Yeah. Yeah. When I started listening to it, I thought that's why you wanted me to listen to it.
Yes, and hence, I would say thanks for inviting me to the show.
It's your Power Extra Radio show.
Thanks for inviting me
Yeah.
to the show, to
Yeah.
your show. This issue
Mhm.
is very, very important
Yeah.
to myself. I haven't gone through that as an issue, but I know plenty who have,
Yeah.
and I know the suffering and the struggles and the challenges that they've faced in doing so,
Which we're going to talk about.
which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so as you heard there, guys, Master Mo is going to try and get a conversation or an interview with this fabulous lady that has a famous person in the reggae scene that lots of people know. I don't listen to a lot of reggae. I do listen to some, but not a lot. So I don't actually know this lady, but I want to hear more. So we're going to get down to the crux of things now, and we're going to ask Master Mo about his views on child sexual abuse in the black community. So I have had on the radio show, I have had Vanessa Bob, and I've had Michelle Denning-Brown, again, both from the black community. The reason why I am on powerextraradio.co.uk is because I want to reach out to BAME communities as part of my role as a consultant to the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, because the whole subject is taboo. People don't want to talk about it. They want to brush it under the carpet. And I think part of my job is to break this taboo and break this silence. Now, most of the people coming forward so far to the inquiry is the white community. The black voice, the Asian voice, and other communities, they're not being heard. And this to me is a major problem, because I don't see child sexual abuse or child abuse in general as a specific community's problem. It's wide. Abuse is not colourblind. It crosses all communities, all colours, all classes. And that is, when I got into contact with Mo, that is one of the reasons why I have got a slot on this radio show, because I want to break down those barriers and understand what is stopping different communities from coming forwards. And I don't apologise for that. I don't apologise for being a white survivor, reaching out to all the different communities, because I want sexual abuse, child abuse to be spoken about in all communities, and for victims and survivors of childhood abuse, child sexual abuse, mental and physical abuse, to be able to speak out in whatever community that they're in and get the help that they need and deserve. That is why I am here and I am speaking out. So I've had 2 females views from the black community, and now obviously we've got Master Mo, who's a male, so it'd be really interesting to get his views out there and across, because Master Mo doesn't hold back. He will speak his truth and he will share his perspective. Whether you agree or not, that's a different thing, but we will get his perspective on the things that we want to speak about. So I'm going to turn the camera around again on Facebook Live, and if you're listening, please get in touch with any questions that you might have. So Mo, I just want to ask your views on child abuse within the black community. Do you think that it's silent, or do you think that more people are speaking out? What is your sort of perspective on that?
It's very silent. It's very silent. It's a cultural issue, cultural epidemic.
Yeah.
And it's a way that within the African-Caribbean communities have been brought up.
Yeah.
In that code of silence.
Okay.
That, you will find, if I put child abuse to one side,
yeah,
and let's tackle just general issues,
yeah,
you will find that a lot of Europeans,
yeah,
would go to work,
yeah,
they'll have a bad day, and they'll come and tell you all their problems freely.
Yeah.
They'll tell you. They have no holds about that.
Yeah.
African-Caribbean wouldn't. They'll keep everything in. They could be dying at home, starving. They wouldn't say a word. They'll keep everything in. I think there's a lot of pride.
Yeah.
That's built into that as well. So when issues come up of child abuse, it's embedded in their nature to keep everything in, to keep it insular. Plus the fact that they feel the African Caribbeans are going through a bad press anyway, in general.
Yeah.
So why expose more onto that? And that's one of the major issues. And for me, it's not about why expose more onto that. It's about the truth of the people that are suffering.
Yeah.
The reality of those people that are suffering. And it's creating more and more problems daily. It creates a lot more problems than they would ever imagine, because they don't understand the implications of the psychological damage that's been caused.
Yeah. For
then and on the long run.
Yeah.
Because everything is just kept under wraps. Deal with it. Be strong. There's a program that came out, I think, on BBC or one of the channels recently, regarding African Caribbean women. I hate the term black people.
Okay, sorry, I apologise.
No, you don't have to apologise.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a general term that a lot of people use, right?
What term do you prefer and why?
I mean, we're African Caribbeans.
Yeah, okay.
There's, you don't have the term yellow people,
no,
brown people,
no.
green, blue, brown, pink.
Yeah.
So why have black?
Yeah.
Or
white.
Or white.
So European.
They're Europeans.
Yeah.
We all come from a country, culture.
Yeah.
There's different cultures, there's different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
The whole of Africa has about 54 countries. Not all of them get on. Like the whole of Europe has so many countries. Not all of them get on.
Yeah.
So you can't just say you're white.
Yeah.
Whether you're from Croatia or Spain, your French and English don't get on that much. There's a little knick-knack.
Yeah.
So you can't dump them all, but inevitably you don't just say white, you say French, English.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm from Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So I'd rather people say that Sierra Leonean man.
Yeah.
If they don't know where I'm from, they ask.
Yeah. Because
if I don't know where somebody's from, I ask. Other than just call them a white person.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that's my own bugbear. And while I'm saying that, it's important. The importance is where the culture from the West Africa, the West Indies, East and North Africa, right, in terms of abuse, where it's rife, I'm going to show people something.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could see
Yeah,
that.
they can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. This was something that we were setting up about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, just before you came on.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I thought I brought that to show you.
Yeah.
That's it's called Breaking the Silence. It was setting up in St. Lucia,
I got married in St. Lucia.
where child abuse is quite rife.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That's it. So
Yeah.
people just don't know.
No.
They see that glamour side, that they don't see the woman that was setting it up. She took her case of child abuse to the police. They fobbed her off. They pushed her to the side, and that's all they do all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you can't take a case that involves a man to men to resolve.
No. No.
You know,
Because culturally, it just won't get resolved.
it won't get resolved.
No.
It won't get resolved, and it's quite rife. So we were setting up a charity to look into, to promote, and to highlight the abuse that's going on in the West Indies and also in the West Africas, right? I mean, whilst I'm saying that it's rife within the Afro-Caribbean community, there's a balance. You know, in Japan, the legal age of consent is 13.
Yeah, I know, which I don't agree with, but
I don't know whoever can agree with that.
No.
I mean, that's just absolutely insane.
yeah.
Absolutely insane. And it's the similar sort of thing that happens in the West Africas and the West Indies, where you will find chiefs and all these people are having sex with babies,
Yeah.
and they're calling it culture.
Yeah.
Hence, on my show, I used to do a thing called does culture hide crime.
Yes. Because it does big time, doesn't
Big time,
it?
massive
Yeah.
time. So we tend to want to hide what we're doing behind the thing that's called culture. And culturally, they don't want to talk about the issues. They don't want to talk about the problems. If you go out and about now in England, within the Afro-Caribbean community,
Yeah.
especially like in the nurseries or so, when those children are quite young,
Yeah.
you can see the effects of that straight away.
Wow.
You know, the effects of that is rife within starting from that young, you know, and they have problems, they're developing problems that they're not looking into to resolve. And those children will grow up with that,
Yeah.
and it will get worse. You know, children are getting abused, adults are getting abused. If a woman is getting beaten in the home, the child's getting it too.
Yeah. Well, the child picks up on the vibes, don't
Picks
they?
up on the vibe.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's kept under wraps all the time. You know, I was appalled in terms of where people say, where do I get my knowledge from? About 2 years ago, I interviewed a lady. I won't say who she's now.
No.
Interviewed a lady who's well known, well renowned, right?
Yeah.
And she's saying she was quite candid that she suffered abuse in her home for over 7 years, and nobody knew.
Wow.
And I'm saying, why didn't you speak up?
Yeah.
Why, you know, you're an intelligent woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's what I couldn't understand. I said, you're an intelligent woman. You know, you're well sought after. You know, you got an education. What is it that's kept you
Silent.
silent? I just want people to know my business.
So it come down to that real instinctive. We keep it all a secret.
We keep it all a secret.
Yeah.
And I said, your children would have been suffering because they've seen you going through that.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they're going to be damaged.
Yeah.
I said, they're going to have a... Yeah, I said, I can remember... I told her, I said, I can remember watching The Colour Purple.
Yes.
I said, I don't remember a lot about the film at all, apart from one clip where the husband was having problems with the wife in one of the scenes, and she went for advice, and this woman told the guy, beat her. And so he grew up with abuse, she grew up with abuse, so the only thing that they knew was abuse, and so she's passing that abuse on. So a lot of people do the same thing. They repeat the same thing. They grew up with something and they go forward and repeat what they know, because that's all they know. That's what they know. That's their truth. That's their right. That doesn't make it right, but that's for them, that's what they've lived under. Now, within our community, we spend a lot of time keeping things in. And the thing that's important, the thing that's important, we don't look on it as important.
Right.
The petty little things, they take greater precedence.
Do you think that they don't see it as important because they truly don't understand the impact on mental health and physical health and generational health? Is that understanding there or not?
I don't think it's there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there. I think the education about psychological damage and psychological effects has not been broadcasted enough, has not been promoted enough. That's why I love this station for what we are doing.
Yeah.
I really do. I think we're empowering, we're engaging a lot of people and highlighting a lot of issues that they don't normally take on board or normally hear or talk about or put into bite-sized perspective for them to understand. They don't. I don't think, there's not a lot of, probably there are, but they're well covered and hidden. There's not a lot of African-Caribbean psychologists.
Okay.
There's not a lot of them about that would do studies and do works or promote the issues out loud or get funding or research to do that out loud. So it gets put on the wraps. We talked about your role that you have.
Yeah.
Within the African Caribbean community, we need lots and lots more of your role within our community, because things are only going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at, and it's going to be, and people are going to say, how can you link these two together? You're crazy. But I'm going to.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I look at what's happening now with the gun crimes and the knife crimes, and you break it down, 99% of them, they're not drugs related.
Okay. They're
not drugs related. They're more about attitude related.
And belonging?
Belonging.
Yeah.
The sense of belonging. Attitudes and belonging. The gangs give you belonging. It's not about the drugs that they sell and all that. That's just a vehicle. It's not about that. It's about the belonging. And the initiation to get into those gangs now getting worse. It's abuse.
You have to approve yourself, don't you? And it's usually criminal.
It's not even, it's immoral.
Yeah.
Not the criminal. Yeah. If it was criminal, I could deal with that.
Yeah.
But it's immoral acts they have to do now. And that's what's concerning. And that's perpetuated by people who have gone through that. Because people think all these gang leaders are tough and rough people. They're probably survivors of abuse.
Yeah.
And that's their sanction. So when we start looking at tackling this crime or that crime, look beyond that.
Really look at the bigger picture.
Look at the picture. The government's not looking at the bigger picture.
No, they like to cherry pick what they can throw some money at.
Who
they
choose?
Symptoms.
Yes, they choose.
Yeah.
The government's not interested in solving the issue. They really are not, because if they were, it would be solved. And why I say that? Theresa May needed £1 billion to get the DUP on her side.
Yeah.
She found the money. It was done. So if they want to do something, their will and intention is there to do it, they will do it. So for me personally, they don't want to do it. That's why it's not done. They don't want to research into child abuse, because it might uncover things that they don't want to be uncovered. And as you rightly say, child abuse has no color.
It doesn't.
It doesn't have, it's like money has no prejudice. You put it in a hand and that's where it sits. Money will go into anybody's hand. And that's the same with child abuse. It doesn't matter. And when you start digging deep into it, they might find that it's a lot more worse than they think it is.
And it is, as we know.
And it is, as we know.
It's a pandemic. It's not just an endemic, it's a pandemic.
And to look at those issues in total, you have to start going into the African Caribbean community, breaking down those barriers, and saying how do we break down those barriers?
Yeah.
Breaking down those barriers comes with open discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Open discussions becomes like the radio shows that we're having now,
Yeah.
and I hope lots and lots more radio stations across the board, take that on board and also engage in discussions around it. Bring in people that will talk about it.
Yeah.
Bring in people that have the energy and the will and intention to want to resolve that. Highlights some home truths, because sometimes we don't want to highlight the truth because the truth hurts.
Yeah.
and the truth about our community or our so-called culture
Yeah.
might be put to question. And I think in a time where African Caribbeans are struggling for identity, the last thing they need now is another exploration into their culture. But it's a needed exploration into the crimes that's committed within the culture, because crime has no color.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
And a crime is a crime, So when we start looking into that now, we need to start addressing that issue, as painful as it might be. In the West Indies or those parts of Africa, children are suffering because they've been put through a horrific passage of life that's not their time as yet. I don't think, if you look at from a male's point of view, or how a man will see things, having sexual intercourse with a child, he's not thinking about the psychological damage that child is causing, that he's causing to that child. He's not thinking about that. He's not thinking about any of those things. He's not even thinking about the child themselves. He's just thinking about the pleasure of that moment, and that is it.
Yeah.
And then he'll go on to another and another and another, leaving the level of destruction as he goes along. And what they need to do is to be called to boot, to be put to task around it. You need a strong government that will take care of its citizens in total. African governments that will take care of its citizens in total. You look at some progressive countries in Africa, they're not doing enough. The governments, they're not doing enough. I mean, I challenge them in terms of what they're doing in that field, and let them stop hiding behind this cultural issue. I remember, many years ago, this is so clear in my mind. This is about 20 odd years ago. I used to go to the sauna every Sunday, and a group of us, African Caribbeans, all in the sauna, loads of men, testosterones, and loads of women. We're all in the sauna, and we're chatting away, and having the usual pub chat, as I call it.
Yeah. And
these two young girls, they're twins. I think they were about 16. They came to the sauna. And these two guys, elderly guys, would start oogling at them.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you doing? They're children.
Yeah.
I said, leave them be, they're children.
Yeah.
And he said to me, they've hit period, they're women now.
No. Yeah.
And I said, pardon?
Yeah.
So I literally just boxed him.
Yeah.
Whether I was right or wrong,
Yeah.
I boxed him, right? And everybody was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys turned around and said, what do you do that for? I said, I have a daughter.
Yeah.
Younger than that.
Yeah.
And that's who we'll be looking at.
Yeah.
If I ever invited him into my house, that's what I would be doing. I said, he's a nasty, nasty man. Yeah. He needs addressing. Then comes, that's our culture. So I said, well, you know what? Being culture doesn't make it right. Yeah. There are parts of culture that's not right. It's not every part of an African culture that's right. There's loads of it that's wrong.
All cultures have got that pieces in them that's wrong. Yeah.
So that's absolutely wrong. Because if he had looked at my child, he would have got a bigger slap than that. Yeah. Yeah. He would have got his neck broken. I said, are you joking? Where are you going with that? But they're defending it because it's staunched within their beliefs. I said, they're children. I said, do you not realize in life, I said, let's look at it culturally. In life, you're born, you get to your 9 and 10, and admittedly, a lot of young girls now, 9 and 10, start having periods.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Right? And I said, there's a reason why the legal age is kept at about 18, 19, 20, you know? Because I remember my daughter once said to me, well, when can I start having sex? I said, when you're 40, yeah?
When you're 40. Yeah, some hope.
Yeah, and we just laughed, we laugh about it
yeah.
now. I said, yeah, when you're 40. And she just went, what? You know, and I said, there's a passage of time for everything in our life. Everything has a passage of time. And if you do things before its time and passage, there's going to be consequences. And the consequences are psychological damage. It's not their time yet. So why are you pushing things? I said, have you ever tried eating an unripe fruit? I said, that's what it's like. You got to wait till it's ripe before you eat it. That's the time. It's going to give you that time to do it. And I said, you guys are rushing, taking that fruit off the tree before it's ripe.
And ready. And it's not ready until it's legal.
Exactly. And I said, you know, and all they can come back with, that's our culture. Everything is about...
Yeah, well,
I said,
culture's got to change then, hasn't it?
And that's what we need to do,
yeah.
to address the fact that it's not culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to keep correcting them.
It's a man or a woman, because women can abuse. It's their wants and their needs, opposed to the child's rights.
Yeah, and one of the things that I have to address with them all, it's not culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our culture.
No.
They're putting their greed for lust in terms of a cultural value. I said, that's never been a culture. Abusing children has never been part of any African culture.
Or religion, for that matter of fact.
Or religion.
Yeah.
So when they keep telling me it's about culture, I said, prove it.
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
Yeah.
Which part of that did you get that from?
Yeah.
That children get abused.
Yeah.
I said, they don't understand psychological damage. And possibly because they're not put in a position to understand it, or they haven't been given the education to understand it. And the reality is, it's left where it is. There's lots of issues that go on daily within the community, and it's been swept under the carpet. You know, if we touch on the psychological damage that's causing, psychologically, you're going to have a next generation of children who are unstable in terms of imbalance within their attitudes, within their way of thinking, and physically, they'll be physically damaged. People don't understand the physical damage you cause when you have sex too early with a child, with a minor. Internally, they'll get probably bleeding, they might not have children anymore. Lots of things like that can happen internally with the child, when you have sex with a child. But yet, they still carry on doing it.
So Michelle on Facebook, she says, it's not sexual intercourse or sex with a child, it's rape of a child, and she's correct.
Well, that's what that's what they're doing. I mean, you know, the thing is, let me put some things to you.
Yeah. And
then we'll expand on it. Yeah. In Japan.
Yeah.
Their legal age is 13.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful when you say it's rape of a child.
In the UK, it's rape of a child.
That's what I'm saying. So now in their culture, they deem that as legal.
Right.
Although it's immoral.
Yeah.
You know, immoral and illegal are two
different things. Yeah.
And we have to have a consensus of what is morally right.
Yeah.
To promote that instead of what is legally right.
Yeah. So in some countries, if the age of consent is lower than in the UK, it's legal, but it's immoral.
It's immoral.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's immoral.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that.
Yeah.
In the UK, if you have sex with a minor, it's rape.
Yeah.
You know, because they deem it that child has not the right frame of mind to consent to or not around the issue of sex. So, that's why I'm very careful not to just use the word rape.
Yeah, I would.
But
In the UK, that's it. And this is where people are sitting at the moment.
Yes,
yeah.
and in the African Caribbean communities where it's quite rife,
yeah,
they don't see it as rape.
Right.
And that's where the changing of minds needs to come in.
Is there any age of consent in the Afro-Caribbean communities, especially in Africa and the West Indies? Is there an age limit? Is there any protection? What is it like?
It's terrible.
Right. Because we complain about, obviously, when we're in the UK, we complain about our laws and our judiciary system, but at least we've got one.
Yes, we've got, and yes, we can complain about it, but there are boundaries that are set that people know if they cross it, certain repercussions will come their way. Certain countries don't have that. Because they don't have it, it's left to the moral standards, and morally we know it's wrong. But if their morality does not lie on the fact that it's wrong, then in their mind it's legal.
You saying Japan has a legal age of 13. I wonder who set that age limit, and I wonder if 13-year-olds in Japan actually agree with that or not. It's a very
interesting. Well, they don't. They have. When I come back to that, yeah. When we're bashing, I'm not bashing, but I'm highlighting a lot of flaws in the African Caribbean culture. In Japan, they have a culture as well that is equally as disgusting. And if you hear it in England, you'll think it's poor.
Well, just the age of 13 is creating a lot of controversy on Facebook, because people see the age of 13 as being child and rape. That's what they're saying.
In Japan, they have this thing that they call yes means no, no means yes.
Right.
So when a child is at 13 says no, I don't want sex.
Yeah.
They're still thinking it's yes.
Right.
She's saying her no means yes.
Yeah.
So there's no way she can say no and mean no in their minds.
Yeah.
Even at the age of 13.
Wow.
All the way up.
So they have no protection, really, do they?
They have no protection.
Yeah.
So culturally, that's their ethos.
Yeah.
And how do we change that ethos in that culture, in all the other cultures around? Is probably having a worldwide debate. One of the good things I like about Power Extra, let me promote Power Extra, we're going out to over 70 countries around the world. People are listening to this now, and they will be thinking, that is not right. My child is 13.
Yeah.
She's not ready for sex.
Yeah.
Why is the government telling me she's ready?
Yeah. And giving the potential perpetrators a free rein.
A free rein. That's why a lot of people, in England go abroad for their holidays in specific countries that have
to abuse.
Have those age limitations.
Yeah.
And have their way there. Because that for me is paedophile. Pedophilia.
Yeah.
And and they promote that all around. And it's a massive problem, which I think addressing it mean just more discussions like this. Like your show. We've got that figures recently, and your show has become one of the most popular shows in the station.
Thank you.
It's become popular simply because the discussion around the area that you're talking about is so needed.
Yeah, it's hitting home.
It's hitting home right across the board.
Yeah. Right
across the board. Fortunately or unfortunately, we need to get it a lot honed in within the African Caribbean culture, the African Caribbean community.
Yeah.
And if it needs to be honed in a lot more. That message needs to be rammed in over and over again, consistently, that it is wrong. And let them look at the implications that is caused the after effects
Yeah.
of that. You know, even if you put two things to highlight, yeah. If a woman gets raped,
Yeah.
an adult woman gets raped,
Yeah.
the psychological problems she faces is huge. It destroys her life.
And males also, when they're raped,
yes,
it destroys their lives.
Destroys
Yeah.
their lives. You know, and if somebody can see that clearly with a mature brain,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
very mature brain, what do they think is going to happen to a child
Yeah.
whose brains are not matured enough as yet?
Again, I just want to pick up on that, Mo. There's a lot of people out there, abusers, who think that, you know, they're showing love to a child. They're not hurting a child. They're showing love to a child, and a child's a child, so they're not going to remember. And there are also some of the general public that think that survivors, the impact on survivors is not real, because we often hear bounded around, you know, well, that happened years ago, decades ago. Why are you still going on about it? Why are you not getting over it? That's what we hear all the time. And as you say, if an adult mature brain can see that an adult survivor of this type of crime is not getting over it, I can absolutely tell you that children of this crime do not just get over it. They don't disclose until they are adults.
You know, let me put something in a cross-purpose term, okay? And you know, people will shoot me down for it. The effects of the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
How many years ago that happened? And people are still suffering now.
Yeah.
They're still talking about it.
Yeah.
The effects of slavery happened many years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still talking about it. The effects of it still happening now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what do they think the effects of something that's going to happen 5, 10 years in somebody's life is going to...
Or 50 years ago.
50
whatever,
years ago.
However long it was.
You know, it's going to be as clear as daylight in their mind. They're going to be reliving that. And the worst thing about it is that people don't understand, you know, if they haven't studied psychology, okay, when somebody gets abused, that guilt they put on themselves.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
For a very, very long time. They have to go through hours of counseling to deflect that guilt from themselves. Because they're always thinking, what could they have done better? What should they have done? You know, when they, you know...
What could I have done to prevent it? Nothing.
Exactly. So that guilt stays with you forever. Amen. That guilt stays with you. That never leaves you. Ever. So when people talk about, you know, they get over it, we don't ever get over it.
No. Whatever the circumstances may be.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, time does not heal. Time manages it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It never heals. People think time heals. Time's never healed anything.
You just get better at managing it.
You just get better at managing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like somebody dying. You know, you say, oh, time will heal. No. You just learn to manage it better.
Yeah.
And that, in terms of managing that type of abuse, in terms of personalized issues, self, okay, it breaks down your self-esteem, your ego, it breaks down the moral fibers of what makes you, and it leaves you very little to grow and develop and to get along with. And that's the impact it has in terms of how we deal with people right throughout. You know, it's very, 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 very powerful. That's a very, very powerful tool that somebody's using on another person. You know, it's bullying, willful bullying, and the torture and the torment of that willful bully lingers on forever. You know, people never ever get over it.
So, Mo, going back to childhood sexual abuse within the Afro-Caribbean community within England and Wales, do you think that the black community, Afro-Caribbean community, will speak up if there was somewhere they could go that they feel safe and that they could trust? What do you think the barriers are in this country for the Black Afro-Caribbean community to actually come forward and start speaking their truth, so they can start accessing the support services that they need to get on with their lives? Or how do we change the culture? How do we start breaking down those cultural barriers, and to get the different communities to actually understand that in this country we do have legislation, we do have this morality that we want society to adhere to in order for children of all communities to be safer? What are your views on that?
You know, one of the things that is quite prevalent within our communities, we don't have a place of home outlet.
Okay.
They don't see anywhere as a place of home of outlet where they can actually go and access what is required, the services that are required. It's not loud in people's minds. It's not loud. There might be services out there.
There is.
There probably will be, but it's not loud enough for people to access and feel safe in accessing it. You know, people are not. They're very wary of government-funded things. They're very wary of government bodies. They're very wary of government departments who are put there to help them when they feel that the government's the one that's doing things to them.
Right.
You know, although it's an individual that's doing it, but they always think it's back to the government created this environment for people to do it. You know, in the West African and West Indies culture, young girls are very sexualized. Women are very sexualized. They dress skimpily. They promote, you know, a sexual aura all the time. That leaves. Although we should say men should control themselves, it leaves the door wide open for abuse to take place. There's lots of videos that you watch where they're sexualizing themselves immensely. And women are doing it, so the young girls copy. And men have an easy prey. They can prey on this young child's mind very easy. So they can get at this young children's mind very easy. We need a lot more departments and a lot more people. You know, you're talking about some community leaders, but there isn't any in the black community. There's hardly any that we can look at and say, great, that person just who, you know, we look up to, or we realize. Because I don't see church leaders as community leaders. Church leaders lead their church. Mm-hmm. That's their business. Number one is their church, and they, you know, if along the way they might help a community person there and there, that's fine. But they generally just lead the church. That's what they do, and even in the churches, they don't want to talk about those issues because it's not comfortable. It's not a vote selecting issue, a vote getting issue. People talk about things that will promote themselves, and that's what they do. That's what they're there for. So, you know, we need people in the community, you know, to say to them all who are doing work within the Afro-Caribbean communities, this type of work, they need to put themselves out more. They need to promote themselves out more. They need to make sure that you know, there are centres that's around, that's loud, shouting loud and clear. We are here to help you. You know, come and talk to us. We're here to help you. Come and talk to us, and you will find that a lot more people will come forward.
But some of those support services that I know of that do offer help and support to Black Afro-Caribbean communities specifically, they try and outreach, but unless the person in the community wants that help or feels that they can go and get that help, because if they're not in fear of maybe the man in their life or another woman in their life is not going to abuse them further, how can they actually get that help if they're tied to, like, domestic violence, for example?
You know, that's where the skill of the officers will come in.
The officers
who are going to, I say officers, right?
You mean the people from the Specialist Support Service?
Yes, who are dealing with the African Caribbean communities, because you're not just dealing with an issue. Yeah. You're dealing with a cultural issue. Yeah. Right. The issue of child abuse is something that they might be skilled at dealing with, right? And if they're not skilled at dealing with the community aspect of that, they're not going to get in. So you need people who not only are good at what they do, but they need to be good at understanding the community that they're going to be servicing as well. And when they understand the community they're going to be servicing, they'll get better response in terms of that. Because we see social workers, yeah, let's say it's social workers per se, whether they be white, black, pink or blue, as part of a system. So for them, color doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're just part of that system. And when you have workers within that range, that's what they will be seen as well. Workers within that system. So they need to separate themselves. Let people understand. We do understand that culturally, we do have that empathetic view. We do understand where you're coming from, where that is coming from, and if they can't put that across, they're not going to get in. They're not going to get in because cultural plays a big part in the discussion. And unless you have the cultural awareness, you're not going to have the doors open.
Okay, so you were saying earlier that Black Afro-Caribbean women and children are sexualized, are highly sexualized. You're saying that. So Michelle's saying whatever a person wears is their choice. It does not mean they are waiting to engage in a sexual way. They shouldn't be seen as leaving themselves open to abuse. That's victim blaming. And this is, I would say, an opinion of the white community. Again, I can only speak for myself, but there's a lot of us that think that at the end of the day, whatever we want to wear is up to us. We're not just because we wear certain clothes, we're not asking for the perpetrator to come and abuse us. So are you literally saying that this is a major cultural difference that
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They need to understand culturally what it's about. Yes, I understand that within the European community, you can say, yes, I want to wear what I want. It's my right, it's my choice. That's fine. Yes, it is. But if it brings a level of risk, then we're not saying you're asking for it. Definitely not, because that's not what you're doing.
No.
But it's been promoted that way. Not only yourself doing it, but a lot of the videos, a lot of the movies, they will perpetuate that as a way in.
So you're saying that this is one of the big cultural differences.
That's a major cultural difference.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of music videos, the way that's they've been sexualized. If you look at the way that that they go on the skimpy clothes, and when you look at a lot of parties or so that happens in the West Indies, they wear next to nothing.
Right.
And you in the same way they wear next to nothing, the culture of rape, the culture of abuse is quite rife.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't take a lot of formula to work that out, right? And the reporting, the culture around people's behavior, from the perpetrator to being reported, how the police will deal with it or any authority will deal with it, all integrated in wrapped up in what they will call their culture. And if they're not going to take it serious and deal with it seriously, you as the victim, you're lost. So you'd rather not report it because you don't want to go through that trauma and that the frustration, the indignity of revealing yourself, exposing yourself to strangers in the police station, only to be told, go away, just go on by.
Well, I've got a friend on Facebook who has a charity, is Who Will Hear My Cry, Dilys Silla, and basically she helps women in Ghana, where she's from, and in the UK who have been raped, and she helps them, turn their lives around. But she also speaks up on behalf of survivors of abuse of any kind, and she's very, very vocal. And she's sort of like, how do I put this? Of the, you know, we should be able to do what we want when we want without having the risk of being abused in any way.
You know what? Let me put something to you, okay?
Yeah.
You've got at the present moment the European culture.
Yeah.
You've got the West African and West Indian culture. The West Indian and West African culture are struggling for their identity.
Yeah.
And they're struggling for that identity within the European setting.
Yes. Yes.
There's going to be conflicts and clashes.
Yeah, there will be.
Right?
Yeah.
That understanding of what she's saying now, she's looking at it from a European perspective. That's a European culture. A European lady would say, it's my right, I can wear what I want, do what I want, whenever I want.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I understand that and I agree with that within the European setting. But within the West African or West Indian setting, that's not so right.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it should be, but it's not.
So how do we, and again, I'm not saying that the European culture is right, because all cultures are not 100% right all the time. But how do we get, specifically around childhood abuse, domestic violence, how do we get the European way or protection and safeguarding of children and women in particular? I know some men and get raped and all the rest of it. But how do we get that cultural shift, cultural change happening, especially if these communities are in the UK?
Number one, it's comes with an integration of understanding of cultures,
which you've said throughout this whole program.
It's an understanding of integration of cultures. Now, you can't have, and people are going to shoot me for this, a European lady teaching an African man how to behave, what he sees as his culture.
Right.
And he's right.
Yeah.
What they see as their culture, and they're right. And where the cultures clash.
Okay, so who would do that job?
Who would do that job? That's why I'm saying you need people who understand the implications of child abuse, who understand the cultural issues as well. You know, I could go and talk to a man now and say to that man, look, you know, what you're doing is morally wrong. Yeah. They would take it from me because I'm coming from the African-Caribbean perspective. Yes. Yeah. They would take it from me. They wouldn't take it from a white lady. No. They would not take it from a European, because they would see it as an invasion of their privacy, an invasion of their culture. So to break down that barrier, we need more advocacy within our own communities who will should speak out on it a lot more. You know, one or two people doing that work is fantastic. It's great, but one or two is not enough. It's a drop in the ocean. It's a drop in the ocean, because that's why I'm saying I'm glad you're on the show. Yeah, it's highlighted. Yeah, and it's seeping through. Yeah, regularly. But it's a spoon feed. Yeah, and we need to make sure that we rip that hole and let more water come through. You know, it's one of the things that we need to get people to understand. This is where I think people such as myself, or the radio station owners, radio station presenters, will play a big part in telling people within both cultures, that abuse is colorblind. It's not about color. It's about moral values. Yeah. And the morality is not about your values, it's about the value of the child that's been affected. Yeah, absolutely. You know, because right now, the issue for me that I have with a lot of cultural issues, I'm from Sierra Leone. Yeah. You know, and I tell everybody that, but realistically, I don't have any Sierra Leone values. Right? Because I didn't grow up in Sierra Leone. Yeah. So you've grown up with the European or the UK value system? I've grown up with the UK value system. I went to school here, went to college here, was educated here, went through that. But I still maintain my cultural value of Sierra Leone. Now, when I look at both cultures and look at both sides, I can take the good and bad in both. I can see the good and bad in both. I can see the value of both. I can see the weak and strong points of both. and make a constructive side. Somebody who's not prepared to look at both is where we get the abuse from all the time. Because the thing is, if they're abusing the children in the West Indies or the West Africas, yeah, and that's quite rife, and they come over to UK, that's not going to change.
No, because that's not what they've grown up with.
That's not what they've grown up with.
So
that's not what their parents have grown up with.
But would they change if they knew that legally they were not allowed to hit their children, abuse their children, or does that not get down?
It doesn't get down.
Right.
Because the first thing, you know, I did a program, right? Not on abuse, but on hitting children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think I got the highest ratings for that show.
Yeah.
Because I challenged, you know, loads of men came on the show telling them it's their right to hit their child.
Yeah.
And I had to break down the issue of what is right and what is wrong. What is morally right, what is legally right. When you break it down in that sense, I wouldn't say it changed everybody's mind, but a lot of listeners got where I'm coming from.
Right.
Because I said to this guy, you're beating your child to show control.
Yeah.
If you went to work tomorrow, you did something when your boss slapped you,
yeah,
how would you feel?
Yeah.
I'll box it. I said, well, your child can't box you back.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
But when he can, I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so we put that argument forward, and it's the same way with the, you know, it's even slightly worse with abuse that way. You know, we talk about the physical abuse a lot, but the mental abuse that some of these children go through as well is even worse.
Yeah.
The mental torment, the mental torture that they go through is even worse. You know, in a lot of homes, whether they be white, black, pink, blue, green, red, yellow.
Yeah.
And people need to understand. I think it's about them not understanding parenting.
Yeah.
There's no guidelines for parenting, but I'm sure I can set a standard and a marker that would be most appreciated right across the board, because there is a marker for parenting. People say there's no guidelines, there's no booklet. I think we should write one and have a basic standard that people should adhere to. And if they adhere to that, that would solve a lot of, you know, start challenging those issues, start challenging those problems. Because if you say children have to be brought up in a safe environment, that doesn't matter whether you're black, white, pink or blue, rich or poor, that's standard. You know?
Yeah.
If you know, when you say the mental stimulation of your child, is a must.
Yeah.
Whether you're white, black, pink or blue, rich or poor, that's a must.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, whether you can afford to give them £20 or you can afford to give them £1.
Yeah.
That's a debatable issue. That's people, parents and values and worth.
Yeah.
But the standard is that's what you need to do. After you've hit those standards, then we can see progression. And that would solve the cultural barriers that people are talking about all the time.
I agree that we should have standards about bringing children up, and I wrote a book called Parenting Without Tears that has those standards in there. But do you think that a lot of people in different communities would hide behind the fact that they've got these cultures and they don't believe in these standards, just not to meet the standards? But then they would be in the wrong, wouldn't they? And then perhaps we could take them to task over not treating their children as they should be treating them.
When those standards are got, where it needs to go to Parliament, and let Parliament act it as law.
But there are standards, there are laws, there are laws to protect children in this country specifically.
I mean, I've been a social worker, and you know, child protection is there. But
it's still not adhered to.
It's not adhered to
by all communities, white, black, pink, blue, purple.
Yes. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, there is no legal enforcement readily at hand. There's not enough resources to legally enforce.
And that's the problem, is the resources.
Or what is happening. Because if they were able to legally enforce, if they had the means to be doing that all the time, things will change. Because all it takes, all it takes, yeah, is for somebody to be prosecuted, somebody to be profiled, and it highlights the issue. At the present moment, that is not happening enough for people to take notice of it.
In the Black Afro-Caribbean community, because obviously it's happening in the Asian community. There's lots of what they call, and this is there's a lot of debate on social media about this as well. When it's a white gang, paedophile ring, it's called a paedophile ring. When it's an Asian gang, it's called a grooming gang. And it's like, why are we using two different terminologies? It doesn't matter if they're Asian or white, they are paedophile gangs that rape and sexually abuse children. And that is the crime, and that is what it should be. But again, we still need to understand the cultural differences to understand why people are doing it.
The thing is, right, this is where a lot of, if we say Asians or African Caribbeans, have a problem with the European way. The Europeans have a way of using words or different terminologies where it suits to promote or to denote whoever what's happening to. Somebody gets killed in America, the guy goes around and shoots 500 odd people. He's not a terrorist. He's got mental illness. One person from Muslim community, shoots 2 people, is a terrorist. So they have this wordings that that promotes what they want to promote. And until we have a generalized term, it's like myself. I don't adhere to this thing as black crime, black and black crime. Crime is a crime. Okay, who
committed it?
It's a crime. What is a black and black crime? For me, that's where I have a problem with these kind of issues that we have, and those issues go far beyond just that little circle that they're talking about. It goes into the community. It seeps in. It's slowly there. It brings distrust. It brings closed, attitudes, closed views, closed actions, and it gets very hard to open that up because of the distrust. You could imagine, something happening within the African Caribbean community that is rape. I would say that, and it's brought out into the media. The way that they will report it would be totally different if it was in another culture. And that's where the problem lies in many cases. But one of the things that they don't understand is the victims all feel the same things.
They do.
They all have the same problems.
They do, and it might be exacerbated by the lack of support in the family, whatever community they belong in, by the family. Honour killings, for example. So by the family and by the community.
I did some work recently in terms of a show. I gave a story, and the story was two 17-year-olds had babies. One from a very rich family, one from a very poor family. What are their actions? And they kind of looked at me and goes, "What do you mean?" I said, the 17-year-old from the poor family, the press reported it in a particular negative connotation and absolutely atrocious and so forth. The child from the rich family had all the support and all the everything around them. It was viewed in a totally different light. It's a blessing to have and have. And I said, so that's where we're looking at things now. And when the abuse happens within the African Caribbean family, they don't want to report it because they have that is going to come out as that negative, harsh, dark connotation. So they keep it closed, and the victims suffer double silence.
I hear what you're saying, but even from my community, it's hard to speak up, full stop.
Yeah.
So I just need to get it in my head. For me, victims and survivors of child sexual abuse, domestic violence, whoever it is, male or female, we should all be treated the same.
Should be and the reality are two
Yeah.
different things. We should all be, but that's not the way. Well, that's not reality. That's why when some of the listeners are saying
Yeah.
we should all wear what we want and it's our
Yeah.
choice and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a should be.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality.
Yeah.
The reality of life is totally different than the should be. You know, we can all live on should be's.
Yeah. But it's got to deal with the reality.
The reality
Yeah.
is totally different. When you're sexualizing women, sexualizing children, and to be quite honest, it takes a lot of men with a lot of self-control to have that bodily flesh wrapped in your face and wrapped around you all the time without having any kind of reaction to it, and that's perpetuated all the time. So it's going to be rife. So yes, you shouldn't have, because I do agree with that, but that's not a reality. How do we make it a reality is where we come into, right? We make it a reality when governments take action. A lot of people respond to what the government's focal point will be.
They do, but I also believe that it has to be on a family level and a community level as well. So the mum and dad need to take responsibility for their own actions and bringing their children up properly.
Yes.
And then the community and the people that they hang around with, it's the morals and the values of that community that's important, as well as what the government is saying.
If you have a lot of abusers growing up,
yeah,
the likelihoods are that's their way of life. They will suffer, either they will suffer in silence, have the courage to come out and speak about it, have the support to deal with it, or not support to deal with it, and they will grow with it. There are a lot of people now within the Afro-Caribbean community, okay, who've been abused as children, 30, 40 years gone,
yeah.
They're still carrying that.
Yeah, of course they are.
They'll carry it to their grave.
Yeah.
And they'll speak about it to one of their friends or something like that, who will be shocked and horrified that happened to you, and they'll carry it. But what they don't realize is that psychological damage is done to them for 40 years. Okay, if that hadn't happened, they would have had a different change of life. When they go on to have, if they trust enough to go on to have children themselves, it would be a wonderful thing if they trust enough. So it's difficult to put your finger on one specific answer, say this is the way to deal with it and it's going to be okay for everybody, because there are cultural issues that are quite strong and quite powerful that are acting out of turn, for my mind, that people are using to hide behind their crimes, and they're going to carry on using that.
I just want to say for Facebook Live and for listeners that a lot of what Mo is expressing is his experience of his own culture and his own community, not necessarily what he thinks. Because we're getting quite a few, like there's a comment here, any grown man looking at a child in a sexual way is totally wrong. They are children, not flesh in a man's face who can't control himself. So what she's saying is that a man should know that a child is a child and is not a sexual object. And you agree with that?
I agree with it.
Yeah. But the reality
is different from, you see, that what she's saying is a very philosophical argument, discussion. Very, very nicely philosophical. That's not reality. It's not a reality. And it's nice to have that philosophical, that should happen, this should happen, yes, we should do this. Yes, that's fine. I agree with all of that, but that's not the reality. And the reality is they don't do that. This is what they do, and they do it because of. And we need to clarify and deal with that because of. That's the real issue. So them telling me a grown man should be able to control himself. Women should wear what they want. That's fine. We all in the Western world, that is fine.
But
The reality is there are people that live in the Western world that bring in other values onto that they want to hold on strong to. You can't go to Japan and say, it's wrong to go and have a sex with a child of 13, because in their mind that's right. We know that realistically, physically, that child is not ready at all in any shape or form.
Yeah.
So, you telling me they should do this, that's all well and good. That's not reality. And I'd rather deal with the reality of issues than this highfalutin, we should do this, we should do many things. We should have many, many things, but we don't. We have to deal with the reality and how we address that reality. How we change people's perception to bring it to where they are.
So the reality is, we want children to be protected. We don't want them having to be raped and sexually abused and buggered at an early age. We want them to be able to come to the legal age where they can make their own minds up about entering into a healthy relationship on their own terms. That's what we really want. That's the reality that we want. How do we make that happen? So you've already said that it starts with government. Probably the laws, which obviously in this country we do have more laws than the West Indies and Africa and places like that. But how do we...
The thing is, we have all these laws in England, yet it still carries on.
It does.
It carries on.
So we've got...
In all communities. And this is what people don't understand. If it's happening here heavily in all communities... in England, where there's greater laws. What do they think is happening where there's hardly any laws?
They get away with blue murder.
They get away with blue murder. And how do we change that blue murder? Is by bringing in laws, for starters, so people will know that is not right. Okay? That's a starting point. Right? If there were laws in the West Indies and West Africa that's really strong to say that is not right, that's one step. So
and it's the sentencing that goes along with that, with the convictions and the sentencing.
So people then will understand, even I'm saying to them that even in England here, where there is laws, it still goes on.
It does. It's rife.
It's rife. So, you can't say they should do this, they should do that, because, there is not that issue around what they should do. Is an issue around what they are doing, and they are doing is wrong, and how do we rectify that wrong?
So it comes down to the legislation, it comes down to education, it comes down to morals.
Yes. It's
the country that you're living in, abiding by all of that, whatever country you're living in. And if you are in a country where that doesn't exist, people stepping up to put those things in place.
Absolutely.
To better safeguard children.
Absolutely. And that's it. There's something that's which I don't see it happening in the near future, but there has to be a national standard, an international standard of safeguarding. Where it's right across the board, an international standard of safeguarding. When that is put into place, nobody can't move from A to B to C to D to go and perpetrate or do anything else, because they know there's a standard law right across the board. Now, in England, we have the laws, and one of the things that we don't have is the resources to facilitate those laws. That's why it's still rife. That's why it's still rife in England. So they're making strides in terms of setting up the laws, but they're not making strides in dealing with how to police that and how to go about handling issues around it. So one of the things that England does, and sometimes I think it's a good thing, or sometimes I think it's a bad thing. They leave it to charities to do a lot of the work. When they don't want to do, they leave it to charities to do a lot of work. It's not that they don't recognize the work needs doing, but they leave it to individual charities, and some of the times the strain of somebody doing it on a charitable basis is too much. The pressures, you know, it takes a lot to counsel somebody that's been raped. And it takes a lot to get that out of somebody. It takes a lot of courage for somebody to come forward to bring that to the fold. Because before, all the evidence, all the talk is not about the perpetrator, it's about them as the victim. They try to make the victim, you know, feel as if they're the one that's done wrong. And it's taken a lot of time within England for them to change that attitude and change that way. It's slowly changing. So we need to have that start in different countries. And the governments need to start promoting that, talking about it. And I don't think in those countries they think it's a big issue.
Because it's so accepted.
It's so accepted. That's what I'm saying. They don't think it's a big issue.
So their concept of what is acceptable and not acceptable needs to be challenged.
Yes.
And the leaders of said countries need to stand by higher morals, i.e. children. It's not children shouldn't be seen and shouldn't be heard. It's more of children need to start being heard.
Yes.
And their human rights being put up the agenda.
Up the agenda. And, you know, I don't think we are given enough time to hear the children's needs. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's going to be quite scary when the children start talking.
Yeah, wow. Well, guys.
Yeah.
Mo, be quiet. Yeah, so 1 hour and 50 minutes of Mo sort of sharing his perspective on things. Lots shared there. If you've got any comments, which I see there's lots of comments, especially on Facebook Live, and maybe comments coming through on WhatsApp, we will get back to you and we will come back to what Mo has said. It's opened my eyes a lot about cultural differences and how we're going to reach out to different communities so victims and survivors of childhood abuse and domestic violence can come forwards, speak their truths, not be ostracised by their communities, but actually be supported by their communities, because an individual that has gone through mental, physical, emotional, sexual abuse will have an impact on their mental health and their physical health, and they do deserve help and they do deserve support. So how do we actually start breaking down these barriers, and how do we welcome everybody that's been a victim of a crime to be able to speak out and get the help that they deserve? Love your views on all of this as always, so please do get in touch. If you want to comment on the Power Extra Radio page on Facebook, please do. So we are going to wrap this up now, and I will be back with you in 2 weeks time on Tuesday. I will be playing a tune to get us out now. It's called When the Going Gets Tough, and we will speak to you soon. So bye bye for Facebook Live. Thank you, Mo, very much. I'm just going to swing it round so we can say goodbye to Mo. Thank you very much for being on air, and see you all soon.